Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Charles Alpha. Let's begin with the headlines. Activities marking 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Day begins with a Jumat prayer. A cleric urges Nigerians to entrust everything to Allah through sincerity of deeds. And courts of appeals sitting in Abuja ordered a fresh hearing process on the legal battle over the disputed emirate in Kano State. And more than 9,000 structures were destroyed and at least 10 killed in Los Angeles County fires. President Bola Tinubu this Friday joined other Muslims and the Nigerian Armed Forces for the special Jumat prayer at the National Mosque Abuja as part of activities to commemorate the 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration. Abdullahi Ajia reports that the Imam of the National Mosque, Professor Ilyas Usman, joins worshippers to entrust everything to Allah through sincerity of deeds, prayers and faith, as Allah has promised victory for the righteous and faithful.
We gather in this mosque
as Muslims joined other compatriots on this year's Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration. President Bola Tinubu also joins the solemn voices of faithful for Allah's ultimate guidance and victory for the country. Professor Lukman Zakaria's sermon examines moral standards and ethical behaviors from the premise of the Quran and Hadith, with a call on all to be upright and promote goodness. He calls for support and prayer for the Nigerian military to succeed in its professional task of protecting the country.
When we act with ikhlas, our actions are accepted by Allah and we are rewarded. Ikhlas empowers us to uphold justice.
The cleric, who salutes the gallery of the military, acknowledges the efforts towards ensuring the peace, unity and progress of the country, urging all to uphold justice and peaceful coexistence.
Al-Karim, Al-Wahhab, Al-Mu'ti, we ask you for blessings and protection upon our President, His Excellency, Al-Hajj Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and all his cabinets.
Our armed forces deserve to be supported and to be prayed for because they have sacrificed for this country. Those who have passed away and those who are still serving, they deserve our support by the government. I think the president has been doing very fine with them. I read not quite long ago that he approved about 20 million or something like that for them after the retirement. It means the government sees wisdom in taking care of our armed forces and security agencies in this country.
Professor Usman appeals for continuous welfare and support for the families of the fallen heroes, veterans, and serving men and officers of the armed forces of Nigeria, as he reminds worshippers of Allah's promise of truth to prevail over evil. In Abuja, Abdullahi Ajia, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu will depart Abuja on Saturday, January 11, to participate in the 2025 edition of Abu Dhabi Sustainable Week. In a statement by Special Advisor to the President's Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga said His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of the United Arab Emirates, invited President Tinubu to attend the summit, which will take place in the Emirates from January 12 to 18. The summit will bring together global leaders to accelerate sustainable development and advance social-economic process. The event will enable policy makers, business and civil society leaders to explore pathways to fast-track the transformation to a sustainable economic and evolve a new era of prosperity for all. The Nigerian leader and his entourage will also meet with the Emirates leadership to discuss issues of interest affecting the two nations. He will return to Nigeria on Thursday, January 16. And a massive wildfire that engulfed whole neighborhoods and displaced thousands in Los Angeles have killed at least 10 people, authorities said, as California's National Guard soldiers ready to hit the streets to help quell disorder. A vast firefighting operation continued into the night, bolstered by water-dropping helicopters, thanks to a temporary lull in winds. Even as new fires continued to spring up, with reports of looting, Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna said a nighttime curfew was planned and the state's National Guard was on hand to patrol affected areas. Governor Gavin Newsom said the service members were part of a 1,000-strong deployment of state personnel. And now Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky is not relenting in the quest to find firm footing for Ukraine going forward. He was in Rome to meet Italian President. Kalo Mohammed reports.
Italian President Sergio Mattarella received President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine at the Quirinale Palace in Rome.
Confermo la determinazione dell'Italia a mantenere,
reaffirming Italy's unwavering determination to provide full, unaltered, and consistent support to Ukraine against the aggression of the Russian Federation. President Zelensky earlier met Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni in his deep diplomatic tour to secure defense support, discuss reconstruction efforts, and explore Ukraine's NATO aspirations. The ongoing talks come amid Italy's steadfast backing of Ukraine and Meloni's balancing act between European allies and political ties to U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. Kalo Mohammed, NTA News.
And Kalo Mohammed still reports that the presidents of Sao Tome and Principe Carlos Villanova defends his decision to dismiss the government, including the Prime Minister and former president of Lebanon, and who prays for his successor.
President of Sao Tome and Principe, Carlos Villanova, cited ceaseless absence from office by the Prime Minister Patrice Trovoada over a period in excess of 204 days out of possible 365 days throughout the year, which corresponds to 6 months and around 3 weeks of absence. And most of the trips, he said, were communicated to the presidency of the Republic when they were already underway. The Prime Minister has lodged a complaint with the Constitutional Court in anticipation of a redress. In other news, Lebanese have urged the newly sworn-in president to listen to and work twice as hard to address the people. The former president voiced deep prayers for the success of the new president, which he said would be for the good of the entire nation going forward. Lebanese said he has a chance to rewrite the nation's history, and should he approach it objectively, his name will be embedded in gold in the history books of Lebanon. Kalo Mohammed, NTA News.
Okay, now there has been an allegation of French military base in Nigeria making the rounds in recent time, and to speak on this and Nigeria's relationship with hard neighbors, we have in the studio Brigadier General Abubakar Hanafi Saad, retired, who was Director of Military Intelligence and former Defense Attaché of Nigeria to Mali in 2012 to 2014. General, we'd like to say thank you very much for finding time to be with us in the NTA International studio.
Thank you, Charles.
Okay, so how would you describe the alleged presence of French military base in Nigeria as by Nigeria's Chiani?
Well, that's a very interesting development in international affairs as well as international security. Having said that, I want to believe that His Excellency will have made the allegations he made based on the quality of intelligence or information placed before him. And history is replete with so many instances where not just states have blundered, but wars and battles have been lost due to inaccurate intelligence. Probably the due diligence wasn't done, or somewhere along the line there was a little clog in the wheels. So let me just quickly add that if our colonial master Britain has not established a military base in Nigeria, if United States, with all the relationships we have with them, tried but could not get us to accept the location of or the locating of the headquarters of East Africa Command, then I mean, it actually bears reasoning for anybody to think that Nigeria, under the current circumstances, will allow a French military base to be established.
So, what is your take on the recent video that allegedly showed French troops arriving Nigerian soil and being received by a senior Nigerian military officer?
That video is quite laughable, and I have seen a few Nigerians have come out to react to the veracity or the authenticity of that video. Now, the interesting thing about that video is the fact that the Nigerian senior military officer who actually was alleged to be welcoming French troops on Nigerian soil happens to be my humble self. And that video was shot in January 2013. As at that time, I was then the Nigerian Defense Attaché accredited to Mali. And what it showed simply was the Nigerian DA receiving the Nigerian contingent, a battalion that was that formed part of the African Peace Mission in Mali. So we had a battalion, and then we had a signal company, we had a combat service support company, and then of course we had the headquarter elements in the force headquarters, and we had an Air Force contingent or component that was stationed in Niger, specifically in Niamey, because of its closeness to northern Mali. So for anybody in their right sense to actually bring out such a video and allege that French troops were being received on Nigerian soils, it actually shows the lack of patriotism and the lack of loyalty to this nation. Let me quickly add that, of course, the reception was at Senu International Airport in Bamako, and we know that the French also had the SAF force, which worked alongside AFISMA, and then in July, when AFISMA rehatted into MINUSMA, that is to say the UN took over the operations, then the same French Saval force continued working alongside the UN. So the French forces that were shown there were actually components of the French Saval Operation Force. And so, like I said earlier, it's an unfortunate disinformation. I wouldn't want to even call it operation, a gimmick. And the people who put it out there are the only ones who actually know what their self-serving motives and interests are. Thank you.
Okay, so it is a good thing right now you are in the studios of the NTA International to really keep the records straight. I'd like to ask you, under international diplomacy, what should be Nigeria's next line of action as a sovereign nation in terms of its national security and relationship with its neighbors?
Well, as far as Nigerian national security is concerned, there's nothing as good as firm, secure borders. So I think first and foremost, we must continue along the line we are towing now, and that is ensuring robust kinetic military operations to make sure that the current security threats we are facing are neutralized. Security is peace and security are restored and then maintained. And I will be quick to add that it will be necessary to ensure that the civil authorities, the paramilitary forces, are given the requisite back and bite so that they could actually take over their natural constitutional roles for our military to move aside and reduce the military presence that we have everywhere. Now, concerning the issue of relationship, naturally there is no substitute to adept and smart diplomacy. And in international politics, I think the best use of power is the use of smart power. That is combining both carrot and the stick in a very, very smart manner. So we must maintain diplomatic ties with all our neighbors, Niger most importantly, because we share so many common history, common people, common traditions, and what have you. So while that is going on, we need to also open up back channels. Back channels need to be opened up so that there's that engagement, there is that understanding, and we need to close ranks. But most importantly, we need to understand that talking about security, there is no nation now that can go it alone. So there has to be that international collaboration, cooperation, and coordination. Okay. Because if you look at our northern borders, especially with relates to the issue of the Lakurawas, and even in the northeast, but more importantly in the northwest now, what they do is as soon as we apply pressure, they cross back into Niger. So there's a need for us to close ranks and ensure that that's CCC, coordination, collaboration, and coordination is maintained whenever we're going to carry out military operations. We need to work in concert with them. I know it has been going on, but now is the time to strengthen that and also ensure that we take it to the limits.
All right, Brigadier General, before I let you go, I'd like to draw your attention to the medal on your pocket. I'd like you to shed light on what it is you're putting on and what does it represent for you.
Okay, what this is a Chevalier de l'Ordre National du Mali. I was privileged, as at that time when I was defense attaché, I used to joke anytime Nigerian DAs are assembled to say that I was the only operational Nigerian DA because the Nigerian defense section was a birth of circumstance. The defense section was opened during the conflict in Mali, and we actually hit the ground running. So I participated. I was part of the mixed commission that negotiated all the peace agreements and arrangements. There was the military component under initially the AU, the AFISMA Force Commander, and when they rehearted to UN, it now came under MINUSMA. So the MINUSMA Force Commander was the chairman of that mixed commission, and so it was our responsibility to bring the warring factions together to first agree on terms and other issues before that is taken to the political masters. And it wasn't an easy task, and fortunately at the end of the day, the Nigerian DA's efforts in bringing peace to Mali was recognized, and the Minister of Defense, who represented the President, honored me with this national honor, Chevalier de l'Ordre National du Mali.
All right, thank you very much, Brigadier General, for everything you are doing, and also including the time you have spent, with us on the news on NTA International. The medal there rightly speak to the effort you have put in the work you're doing for your country. We'd like to say thank you very much for coming on the news tonight.
Thank you for having me, Charles.
All right, we will take a quick break now. More reports ahead. Please do stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. In a bid to end the circle of corruption which has hampered development in Nigeria, diplomatic efforts are being made by the federal government to initiate recovery of looted funds stashed in foreign lands. This is yielding results as the United States of America signed agreements in Abuja to return $52.88 million illicit funds recovered from the former Petroleum Resources Minister Diziani Alison Madueke and her associates.
It's not only a testament to the unwavering commitment of our nations to fight corruption, but also signifies the commitment of the United States of America to facilitating restitution and supporting integrity and accountability in governance. As agreed, the $50 million United States of the repatriated funds will be utilized through the World Bank to partly fund the rural electrification project to increase the reliability and availability of renewable energy in Nigeria. While the balance of $2.88 will be disbursed as a grant by Nigeria to the International Institute for Justice, IIJ, to support the rule of law and counter-terrorism projects.
This agreement, I think, marks a significant milestone, as the minister said, in the ongoing collaboration between our two governments in combating corruption, upholding the rule of law.
And with the current administration's intolerance for corruption, the Ministry of Justice says the UN and international agencies on transparency will be involved in monitoring expenditure of the recovered funds. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has ordered a fresh hearing process on the legal battle over the disputed Emirates in Kano State. With this verdict, the High Court of Kano will be the trial court of the matter. Appeal was filed by Nasir Ado-Bayero, who is contending his removal as Emir of Bichi by the state government. The appellate court held that Nasir Ado-Bayero was denied fair hearing by the State High Court before judgment was delivered. It has now ordered that the case be returned to the Chief Judge of Kano State for reassignment to another judge for determination. The High Court of Kano State had in 2024 restrained Nasir Ado-Bayero and 4 others from parading themselves as emirs in Kano State, and the appellate court, in a split decision of 2-1, barred the Federal High Court in Kano from adjudicating over the Kano Emirate legal battle for lack of jurisdiction. Public Relations, Advertising, Regulatory Council of Nigeria and National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria have sealed a partnership that will create integrated marketing communications in Nigeria. Herman Jabani reports that the 3 bodies are coming together to regulate the industry and to serve Nigerians better.
The marketing communications landscape in Nigeria is set to witness a significant transformation thanks to a landmark collaboration between Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, the National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria, and the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria. The partnership was formalized with the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between NIPR and ARCOM. That between NIMM and the two were done earlier. The collaboration aims to promote ethical standard, professionalism, and mutual respect among marketing communication practitioners in Nigeria, improve the quality of marketing communication, better protection of consumers' rights, and ensure that advertising practices in Nigeria are aligned with global best practices.
We will effectively regulate our industry. So today you can say that we are giving birth to integrated marketing communication regulatory framework, because that is what it is. We are now redefining this in a way that will bring glory to our profession and to our nation.
We believe strongly that within the integrated marketing communication space, there will be sanity, better than what we used to have. There will be ethical practices within that system. And we believe strongly that it will make it a lot easier for both the general public and the professionals to understand that there is need for us to improve on whatever we've been doing within this space.
And it's so good to have the privilege of being with the bodies that truly weave the entire ecosystem when it comes to communications, when it comes to marketing, and when it comes to the entire entity. So I come with very pleasant benefits from the Institute of Marketing.
The partnership marks a significant milestone in the development of marketing communications industry in Nigeria. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
And this is where we end the news. I am Charles Alpha, and our sign language interpreter has been Anna Olainka. Thanks for watching.